The rain had been falling softly all afternoon, a steady, gentle cadence that imbued the world outside with an almost enchanted quality. It began as a few timid droplets on the glass, hesitant in their arrival, and by early afternoon had grown into a silvery curtain. The patter on the windows of Leo's apartment formed a delicate symphony, a natural overture that filled the quiet corners of his home with a sense of introspection and warmth. Each drop, falling in its own measured rhythm, seemed to stretch time itself. Seconds elongated into moments of soft meditation, muting the day's harsh edges and replacing them with a calming, almost magical hush. In those moments, with the rain as his constant companion, the world felt infinitely patient, as if it were inviting Leo to slow down and savor the beauty of every gentle vibration on the glass. As daylight began its gradual decline, the sky transitioned into a solemn dusky gray, a color both melancholic and comforting. The city outside transformed, the clamor of daily life softened into a mellow silence, punctuated only by the occasional murmur of a distant conversation or the hum of an evening car cruising by. Streetlights came to life one after the other, their golden beams piercing the veil of twilight and casting warm, rich reflections in the glistening puddles that adorned the sidewalks. The ground, recently kissed by rain, released the earthy aroma of damp soil that merged seamlessly with a subtle spiciness, a scent perhaps born from nearby homes cooking dinner, or the subtle notes of simmering aromas wafting from a nearby kitchen. It was as if the city itself were preparing for a restful night, shedding the bustle of the day in favor of an introspective, soothing dusk. Inside Leo's apartment, the ambience was one of careful, deliberate serenity. He moved languidly through his sanctuary, his every step measured and infused with an appreciation for the present moment. His home was bathed in the warm, amber glow of lamplight, a light that danced softly on every surface, imbuing even the most mundane objects with an almost ethereal beauty. The glow revealed the textures of well-loved books on the shelves, the gentle curves of an antique vase on a side table, and the familiar contours of the furniture, all arranged to create an environment that was both inviting and deeply personal. The air inside was not cold or sterile. Instead, it carried the gentle perfume of cinnamon and chamomile, scents that were synonymous with his most peaceful nights and cherished memories of simpler times. Earlier in the day, Leo had prepared a modest dinner, a carefully assembled plate of vividly roasted vegetables, their colors bold and their aroma intoxicating, paired with a crisp slice of freshly baked bread that still bore the kiss of a warm, artisanal oven. Each ingredient was chosen not merely for sustenance, but for the way it made him feel, comforted, nurtured, reminded of home. Now, as he stood by the window, he cradled a warm mug of herbal tea in his hands. The tea was a mix of fragrant herbs, each chosen to evoke a sense of calm, and as he observed the wisps of steam that ascended in graceful, curling spirals, the glass fogged momentarily with their tender warmth. The steam, as it dissipated, left behind the faint signature of chamomile and mint, a final gift from the tea as it whispered secrets of long-forgotten gardens where time moved in a slower, more considerate rhythm. Outside, the rain persisted, its murmurs constant and tender, playing like a delicate lullaby specifically composed for his ears alone. The sound, steady and methodical, was a reminder of nature's simple rhythms. It was both a meditation and a benediction. Leo took one final, lingering sip of his tea, allowing the warmth to spread through his limbs before setting the mug with equal care on the windowsill. In that simple act was a pause, a moment of ritualistic farewell to the passage of the day, a farewell wrapped in tranquility and soft resolve. As the golden lamplight dimmed slightly with the deepening night, Leo drifted toward a secluded corner of his living space, a haven that offered solace from the external echoes of the rain. In that quiet niche, a neatly folded stack of blankets lay next to a time-worn but inviting armchair, its cushion bearing the subtle indents of endless evenings spent in contented repose. With a deliberate tenderness, he spread a soft knit throw across the armchair, smoothing out the fabric as if preparing for a cherished ritual. Settling into the chair, he exhaled a long, contented sigh that resonated with the calm of the entire room, a sigh of surrender, of acceptance, of being fully immersed in the serene cadence of the night. In a small alcove near the living area, a single candle flickered within a small amber jar, its flame casting a dancing, playful shadow on the walls. The candlelight did not merely illuminate the space, it transformed it, turning every surface into a tapestry of contrasts, a soft interplay between darkness and light that felt both mysterious and entrancing. The candle released a soothing aroma of sandalwood, an essence that mingled earthiness with a snug sense of grounding, as if the very soul of the wood was sharing secrets with the night. This subtle fragrance, carried on the gentle movement of the air, blended with the lingering spice of the cinnamon and chamomile, creating an olfactory symphony that deepened Leo's connection to the intimate space he called home. Reaching for his book, a faithful companion whose worn pages had traveled with him through countless evenings, Leo settled back into the armchair, allowing the familiar weight of the tome to ground him in the ritual of reading. The pages, yellowed and soft from years of handling, were inscribed with words that had once stirred emotions, conjured dreams, and provided both solace and challenge. His eyes moved slowly over the carefully crafted sentences, each phrase resonating with a life of its own, intertwining with the gentle pulse of the rain outside. For a few moments, he lost himself in the narrative of distant lands and timeless philosophies, the words drifting around him like delicate, softly falling snowflakes that settled silently and beautifully in the crevices of his mind. As he read, Leo felt himself being transported far beyond the confines of his modest apartment. The story before him unfolded in rich, sprawling detail, a tapestry of human emotion that mirrored the quiet introspection of his own soul. He recalled memories of earlier days, each recollection tinted by the warmth of bygone afternoons when laughter and conversation had filled the air. Now, on this rainy evening, the weight of the day's routine gave way to a gentle, pervasive introspection. The rain's steady, reassuring patter served as the perfect auditory backdrop, a symphony that was at once familiar and hypnotically soothing. After several pages of thought-provoking passages, Leo paused. He closed the book, allowing the words to settle around him like the soft embrace of a winter snow, each syllable melting into the melody of the evening. His mind wandered briefly through moments of reflection, musing over the delicate balance between solitude and connection. The solitude was neither lonely nor isolating. Rather, it was a conscious choice, an act of embracing one's own presence, of finding complexity and satisfaction in the quiet moments of life. Rising with deliberate, measured movements that spoke of a man in tune with his own rhythm, Leo set the book aside and rose from the armchair. The dim lighting of the room guided him as he padded silently into the bathroom, a small, serene space warmed by the gentle glow of a nightlight. The nightlight bathed the porcelain counter and mirror in a soft radiance, invoking an atmosphere of calm quietude. With a contemplative air, Leo turned on the tap and allowed warm water to run, its flow reminiscent of a meandering brook. As the water cascaded over his face, mixed with the subtle infusion of an exquisite, calming cleanser, he allowed it to gently wash away the lingering remnants of the day's activities. The act was meditative, each drop of water a moment of purification, each ripple a reminder of life's continual renewal. After splashing his face and taking in the refreshing warmth, Leo reached for a plush, white towel with threads as soft as a summer cloud. With tender care, he patted his skin dry, each motion slow and deliberate, as if savoring the moment of transition from the warmth of water to the delicate caress of fabric. His next ritual was to apply a few precious drops of his favorite serum, a silky concoction composed of lavender and rose. The serum, light and indulgent, glided over his skin, massaging it into comfort and leaving behind a subtle perfume that spoke of timeless elegance and nature's own healing properties. Completing his nocturnal regimen, Leo picked up his toothbrush and with mindful precision brushed his teeth, each stroke both a care for his body and a ritual of renewal for the soul. Returning calmly to his sanctuary, Leo made his way back to his bedroom. The transition from one space to another was seamless, as if each room ought to be part of a single, continuous poem. In his bedroom, soft moonlight filtered through the window, complementing the residual warmth of the lamplight that still lingered in the adjacent spaces. There, he changed into what he considered his most comfortable sleepwear, a soft, worn cotton t-shirt that had become a second skin over years of quiet nights, paired with well-loved flannel pants that whispered of timeless coziness and solitude. The familiarity of the fabric against his skin was a reassurance, a touchstone that connected him to the comfort of home. Once dressed, Leo approached his bed with the slow, deliberate care of someone who cherished every moment of preparation before surrendering to sleep. He carefully lowered the covers, smoothing them out so that not a single wrinkle disturbed their inviting softness. With a practiced motion, he opened a small bottle of eucalyptus oil and dripped just a few precious drops onto his pillow. The eucalyptus, with its crisp, invigorating aroma, immediately began to rise and mingle in the air, interlacing with the hints of lavender and rose from earlier in the evening. In that moment, the bed, much like his cherished spaces throughout the apartment, became a cocoon of scents and sensations, the perfect environment to usher in the serenity of night. Yet before finally retiring, Leo made one last loving detour to the kitchen. Though his dinner had been modest yet sufficient, his heart still craved the lingering comfort of his aromatic tea. He returned to the counter where his mug sat on the windowsill, slightly cooled now but still imbued with memories of warmth. There, he took one final taste, a sip that was both a farewell to the day and an embrace of the approaching night. The tea, its flavor deep and resonant, carried within it every note of the herbs and the careful attention with which it had been brewed. Satisfied by this last moment of repose, Leo meandered back to the sanctuary of his bed. The rain, ever persistent yet softly fading to a near whisper, accompanied his gentle steps as he opened the window just a crack. In doing so, he invited the cool, fresh air of the night to blend with the cozy warmth of his room. The subtle sounds of raindrops tapping on leaves, rooftops, and distant city streets drifted in, creating a harmonious counterpoint to the soft rustle of his sheets and the quiet murmur of his own breathing. Sliding beneath the covers, Leo pulled the blanket up snugly to his chest. The feeling was akin to a secure embrace, a tactile promise that no matter how fleeting the hours or how intricate the day, there was always solace in this private realm. With one hand resting lightly on his chest, his skin attuned to every small sound and every gentle shift of the night, he exhaled a deep, relieving sigh that seemed to absorb the weight of the day's challenges. It was a sigh that carried whispers of past triumphs and quiet sorrows alike, a sigh that acknowledged every nuanced emotion, every memory, both harsh and sweet, and gently released them into the calm of the night. In that moment, his room, dimly lit and serene, felt like a cocoon spun from the threads of dreams and quiet contemplation. Every element of the space, from the soft flickering candle in the amber jar to the slow rhythmic beat of the rain outside, worked in concert to cradle him in an all-encompassing embrace. It was a nocturne of peace, a lullaby of solitude that promised that the world, vast and complex though it might be, could pause sometimes to allow the spirit of a single man to simply be. As minutes melted into hours, the rain continued its rhythmic chorus, each drop a note in an eternal melody that played just for Leo. His breathing grew slower, deeper, each exhale unburdening him, bit by cherished bit from the demands of the day. Thoughts of tomorrow mingled with memories of the past in a quiet, reflective interplay, creating for him a space where time was not measured in minutes or hours, but in feelings, in the delicate balance of shadow and light. In the gentle darkness, with the last vestiges of the afternoon's rain caressing the panes, Leo's mind began to wander. He recalled another rainy day from long ago, a day when he had walked along cobblestone streets, marveling at how the world transformed under the kindness of the rain's touch. He remembered the soft splatter on the pavement, which had once been a backdrop to laughter shared with a dear friend, and the ephemeral beauty of puddles that mirrored the blooming sky. That memory, though distant, was woven into the tapestry of his present solitude, a reminder that even in isolation, he was part of a much larger, sweetly melancholic narrative. Every sound in his room, the gentle rustling of the knit throw on the armchair, the faint creak of floorboards, even the soft hum of the refrigerator from the other room, played a part in his quiet symphony of thoughts. The ambience was filled not just with the caress of external nature, but with the quiet internal rhythm of a heart that had come to understand the value of being alone with one's thoughts. Here, in this well-tended refuge styled by nature's own rhythms, Leo found a companionship that no bustling crowd or noisy conversation could ever offer. In the soft silence of his room, memories, dreams, and hopes intermingled like the overlapping notes of the rain's piano. His mind danced through recollections of nights spent reading by candlelight during long winters, when time itself seemed to drift like the slow, measured drops against the glass. He recalled the weight of beloved books in his hands and the comfort of well-worn pages that had witnessed every phase of his life, each one a chapter of his evolving story. Looking back on those memories, he smiled gently, recognizing that every moment, however ordinary, had contributed to the rich tapestry of who he was. Outside, the sounds of the city's quiet rhythms seemed to echo his inner dialogue, a soft resonance that spoke of unity between the inner and outer worlds. The brisk night air that seeped in through the slightly open window carried with it the earthy freshness of rain-soaked trees and the distant murmur of late-night wanderers. It was a reminder that life, for all its solitary pauses, was also a collective experience of nature and community, of breaths shared under the same gentle sky. This interconnectedness, subtle but pervasive, made his introspection even more profound, a deep understanding that every individual moment was part of a grand, ongoing cycle of renewal and rest. As the minutes dissolved into the quiet magic of midnight, Leo's eyes, heavy with contemplative fatigue, began to close. The world outside, with its muted symphony of rain and city sounds, continued its soft cadence without interruption. In the comfort of his snug bed, with every sense attuned to the delicate balance of night and nature, he felt a profound kinship with the universe's unhurried pace. Thoughts and memories mingled with the soft candlelight and the aromatic traces of essential oils, each element a gentle reminder of life's intrinsic ability to offer beauty, even in its simplest moments. At length, with the rain still whispering its timeless lullaby beyond the window, and his soul cradled in a secure cocoon of cherished solitude, Leo's breathing deepened and slowed further. His body, relaxed and surrendered to the gentle embrace of night's enfolding silence, began to drift in tandem with the rhythm of the rain, a rhythm that linked every living moment of his existence to the timeless pulse of nature. Each exhale was a word in an unspoken conversation with the universe. Each inhale a silent acceptance of the peace that enveloped him. In that sanctified hour, Leo recognized that the night was more than just the absence of day. It was an active, vivid presence, a companion that shared not only moments of stillness, but the whispered joys of a life fully realized in its quiet intervals. With one hand still resting lightly on his chest, feeling the quiet assurance of his heartbeat, he allowed sleep to draw him into its soft, endless embrace. The apartment, filled with memories, aromas, and soft glows, became a vessel carrying him gently into dreams that promised renewal. Outside, the rain, persistent yet tender, continued its eternal ballet upon the rooftops and leaves, a timeless chorus that lulled the night into deeper quiet. Within the sanctuary of his own making, Leo surrendered completely, his mind and body merging with the gentle cadence of the rain, unburdening the day's weight with each measured, serene breath. And so, in the interplay of light and shadow, in the aromatic whispers of sandalwood and eucalyptus, and in the quiet company of well-worn pages and soft blankets, Leo closed his eyes to greet a sleep filled with the promise of serenity. Each subsequent moment was part of a symphony, a lullaby where the gentle contact of rain on the window mirrored the soft, comforting rhythms of his own heart. In that profound silence, as the rain's eternal murmur cradled him, and the night deepened, his spirit found a gentle liberation, a peaceful celebration of the beauty inherent in simply being. In the unfolding narrative of that rainy evening, a tapestry woven with memories, aromas, soft lights, and the mesmerizing cadence of nature, Leo discovered that peace was not a distant destination, but a gentle, ever-present companion in every moment. And with that comforting thought echoing softly in his soul, he floated away on the tender, rhythmic lullaby of the rain, embraced by the profound serenity that comes when the soul is allowed to rest. Thus, beneath the continuous, delicate patter of rain, in a room awash with warm lamplight and adorned by the fragrances of cherished herbs, Leo finally let go of the day's burdens. In that still, reflective silence, his dreams began to whisper promises of renewal and serenity, a warm, endless lullaby that bridged the gap between the solitude of night and the eternal pulse of life. As the world outside maintained its gentle chorus, he surrendered, confident that even the softest rain could carry one's heart into realms of new beginnings and quiet, comforting hope. In the soft depths of that night, every element conspired together, a symphony of rain, shadows, scents, and memories, to offer him not just rest, but a profound affirmation of the beauty of life's quiet moments. And as Leo drifted off into a deep sleep, the rain outside continued to fall, a gentle, persistent reminder that each day ends with hope, each moment is a lullaby, and every whispered note of the night is a promise of renewal, waiting quietly at the doorstep of his dreams.